We I'm on the virtual grid network from the outback of Florida, the land of snakes, alligators, and raw horsepower. Before we unpack the barn and let the horses out of the stall, let's set the stage. With 5 races in the book so far this season, Andrew Kotska became the first 2-time winner after he used pitch strategy to secure back-to-back victories out west in the deserts. Can the rest of the field put a stop to the 40? Or will Kotska secure the three-peat in the swamps of Florida? Well, little hint, that's already been decided. No Andrew Kotska this evening, so there's much more as we head into Homestead for Week 6 of the OBRL YesterYear Race Cup Series. YesterYear, where past meets present. I'm Zach Chapman, a.k.a. Shaggy, along with my partner in crime, John Hine. We're lucky enough to have the heartbeat of VGN bringing us all of the sights and sounds, the one and only Ryan Seneca. Located in the Sunshine State, Homestead-Miami Speedway is known for being wide and very racy, which led to the track hosting the NASCAR season finale from 2002 until 2019. This track has seen many past champions take the checkered flag, including Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon, but I would have to say the most notable, none other than Bill Elliott in 2001. With air temperatures at 81 degrees, drivers need to take care of their tires this afternoon at a racetrack that can really aggravate that right rear. Now, there are a number of ways to do that, John, but how do you think drivers can have the most success out there tonight?
Well, you touched on the temperature there being 81. The track temperature is 115. You know what that means? Slipping and sliding and using up your tires. So we saw it last week. Pit strategy won the race, basically. Able to kind of extend and short pit. We saw a lot of different things happen last week. I think you're going to see it again. You know, you've got options here at this track. You can run on the bottom. You can run right up against the wall. Running on the bottom, you're going to eat those tires up a little bit, but you know, running the top, you got that aqua-colored wall that'll be right off your right side door there. So you got risk and reward for both all the lanes. So you know what? I cannot wait to see what these guys do, and I look forward to a great afternoon here in the Florida sun.
Yeah, I do too, John. And you know, we talk about all the time that 9x incident limit, and while you know you mentioned drivers going to aggravate those right sides being on the inside of the racetrack, how scared are you of the wall coming out and biting you a couple times? We will see that 9x incident limit be tested here this evening.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're going to have to really pay attention. If you're going to get up there and go high, wide, and handsome, you know what? You're going to have to make sure that you're not putting it in the fence there and collecting those incident points, you know, and taking a few laps around here. And you know, where you really got to be careful is corner entry and corner exit. You come out of if you're off the bottom there, the nose wants to shove out to that wall. You misjudge that, pop off the wall, you'll go. You overdrive into a corner, but you're committed to running that high line. Guess what? You're going to end up in that fence there in the blink of an eye. So these guys are going to have, you know, we touched on it, options, but you're dead on. You're going to have to pay attention to where you're at incident wise and make sure that you race accordingly.
You know, we touched a little bit on that pit strategy last week for Kotska. How do drivers take that into effect this week? We saw a lot of guys in practice run 60, man, even 80 laps, some guys really putting out a lot of laps. Do you think they're testing maybe that tire fall-off window? I mean, we know the lap times will drop about a second, maybe a second and a half. But normally, John, at a lot of racetracks, we see that kind of stall.
Yeah, well, it'll stall after if you go into the pits, and if you don't make up that ground, let's say the first 20 laps of your tires, then that it's going to get harder to claw that time back. So those guys are probably trying to figure out how far they could go and look at what the fall off is, and then, you know, judge what they would do on new tires, and you know, can they claw that back, you know, when the good is still on the tires. Those are calculations that these guys are going to have to figure out in a pretty quick hurry here.
Yeah, and speaking of a quick hurry, taking a look at my watch here, qualifying about to come to a close. So we should be bringing you a starting lineup here very soon. And, well, I get a little cheat sheet. You guys will see it. But, John, we got a new guy on the pole here as we get ready to take a look at the starting grid. Or not a new guy, per se, but a first-time pole sitter this season. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at this starting grid. Starting on the pole in the number 1, starting P1, Greg McDaniel, to the outside, the 83 of Dwayne MacArthur.
Lloyd Moore and defending series champion Josh Robinson will start 4th.
Row 3 to the inside, Don Easterland, to the outside, Tom Ogle.
Courtney Nelson and Jerry Isaacs will occupy row number 4.
The trash man, Dan Hill, to the inside of row 5, to the outside, the 9 of Brian Lynch.
Brian McRae and Eddie Jones are going to start 11th and 12th.
Alan Wanamaker lines up on the inside of row 7, to the outside, Jonathan Tier.
Starting 15th is going to be Daryl Weiniger. Next to him in the 77 will be Roger Hurley.
James Hislop to the inside of row 9, to the outside, the boss man, Victor Lane.
Robert Crisco is going to start 19th, and he'll be flanked by Chris Bates in 20th.
Gavin Adams to the inside of row 11, to the outside, Dave Matson.
Dakota Pischke and Fred Wolford are going to occupy 23rd and 24th.
Kelvin Mashore to the inside of row 13, to the outside, Bill Martin.
Patrick Martindale is going to roll off 27th to his outside, and the number 82, that's Mark Schrader.
The Fish, Mark Fish, lines up to the inside of row 15, to the outside, Tommy Embassy.
Dustin Martinson and Greg Hammond are going to start 31st, 32nd.
Now, these are your last two guys that have put in time. So your last two qualifiers, Luke Lane to the inside of row 17, to the outside, Jeff Lyden, and the rest are just going to be seated by their order here, John.
That's right, and 35th will be Chris Walsh, 36th will be Sean Foltz.
The double deuce, Bruce Pearson to the inside of row 19, to the outside, Andy Thomas.
Clay Walker and John Hastings will occupy the next row.
Brian Lindsay to the inside of row 21, to the outside, Nicholas Self, and rounding out the field in the 105, Torrance Childs. Full field, John, 43 cars here tonight at the beach.
And 3 go to the rear. Bill Martin, Luke Lane, and Greg Hammond will be starting from the rear.
Yeah, and this is a place where, John, not that you want to have a penalty, but I would say if you're going to take one, a wide open racetrack here like Homestead, this is where you want to take a punishment if you're going to have one.
Well, yeah, it definitely beats having a penalty out of like a Martinsville or somewhere like that where you got to root and gouge your way through. But you know what? I don't know about that. You're in the back of the pack. A lot of things can go wrong. It's a lot easier to get caught up. So, and these guys are going to be on it.
Yeah, that pace car took a late dive. The green flag's high. It's ready to fly. We're underway as Jerry Isaacs leads us to the green flag. Courtney Nelson trying to get the outside rolling. That's where, John and I did a little bit of talking. You see a lot of guys, it's a kind of a combo track. That high side 1 and 2, bottom preferred in 3 and 4. So right now, it's about 50-50 where you want to be, depending on what line you're in.
Yeah, and remember, too, you've got to really take care of these tires. If you want to make it a long run here on this first set here, you really got to be careful the first 20 laps not to abuse that right front tire, because if you do that and that right front starts to go away, you're going to find the wall quickly.
MacArthur to the outside there. McDaniel back to the inside. And I'll tell you what, I called him Isaacs in the beginning because I was used to seeing that energy machine. That's the Cartoon Network machine. So what a blow by me here. That's you got to expect that. But I'm telling you, we're going to have some fun. And he is having some fun, John. A little bit of a slide job action. You don't see that much on asphalt, but we're going to see it a lot here at Homestead.
Yes, you can, and this track will allow for it, which makes it a lot of fun. And you know me, I'm partial to any track that you can do slide jobs on. But you know what? These guys, when you're doing that, though, you got to remember, what's the key term in that? Sliding. Sliding, I hate to sound like a broken record, but that goes back to tire management. You do that, you're putting a lot of stress on those tires.
Yeah, and you're putting a lot of trust on that guy behind you, too, because we've seen these guys, they race clean. Obviously, it's in the early stages. But when you're coming off that top shelf like we see those guys doing, you got a big head of steam, John. You may even have to get on the brakes if the guy in front of you cuts you off. But looky here, we're 3 wide. Tom Ogle in the middle. Man, he always has fun in that STP machine.
He sure does. And being the meat and the sandwich, though, on lap number 4, I don't know if that's the kind of fun he's looking for. But they get it sorted out as they get back here into turn 3.
Yeah, and Daniel, he checks up when he saw that 3 wide, and now he's almost on the outside 3 wide as he takes a look. That red machine thought about taking a peek, but just gets in line, and, well, already on lap 5, so...
Oh, we got a caution.
Oh, caution, flag waves. I was going to say already a lot has happened, but no cautions. We're trying to figure it out. I think I see Tier off the pace, Jonathan... Yeah, okay, so that's going to be the caution. Jonathan Tier coming out of turn 4. We'll see if our camera guy can find that. May not help us with SDK. I'm giving him a little hint. I had to rewind and cheat. But
yeah, he just loses the back of it.
Yeah, there we go. You see that green car right there kind of go to the inside. Lose him there in the picture, but cuts to the inside.
Surprising, that brings out a caution. Boy, that... Tell you what, that flagman is on it today.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. Well, everybody knows here by now probably iRacing cautions. We don't have a guy upstairs pushing the buttons. And sometimes iRacing, we see that, John. How many times do you see a car go down the backstretch at Daytona and spin out there through the grass? No caution flag whatsoever.
Yeah, I was about to say, it works both ways. I've seen it where I can't believe they've thrown a caution, but I've also seen it plenty of ways where, wow, cannot believe that wasn't a caution. So, yep, that's that's racing in the virtual world for you. So, but yeah, early, we got 6 laps in here, and we already got guys coming to pit road, including about your 6th place runner.
Yeah, so this is interesting. You got to wonder, maybe this is Jerry Isaacs here in the 51. So this is what threw me off. He was in a yellow machine there at the beginning of the season. Now he's in that white one. That's why I said he was bringing the flag. But Jerry, maybe he thinking about Andrew coming in here, just going to top off fuel. You can tell he in and out real quick. He's already leaving the pits, so no tires. But John, that just shows how important fuel might be. That maybe he can go one more time from here on out if he's thinking long green flag run.
Yeah, because look at the access road he's on right now. There is no pit road speed on that area of the track. If you come out of the pits on cold tires, you're going to try to get all you can get. We may see somebody lose it right there and bring out a caution. So if you've got some extra fuel in where you can stretch it out and catch people out, next thing you know, you have to feel the lap down because you were able to run 5 laps further than everybody else. So that's really not a bad idea. And I'll tell you, not only on that pit exit, but pit entrance is also just as chaotic as down through there. No pit road speed until you get around to the wall there. Watch for guys to try to push through there, but that pit road speed pops up on you really quick once you get in the pits there. So watch for speeding penalties too later.
Yeah, and John, we experienced it doing a little road racing the other day, but something these drivers need to be familiar with. If a guy goes out there and kisses a little dirt on one of those access roads, oh man, on cold tires, you are in for a ride. So you got to pay attention to absolutely everything out there.
Yeah, you do, and iRacing has just made such fantastic improvements on that kind of stuff, especially the debris and stuff. That was part of their build here recently, as they get double filed here again, getting ready to go getting ready for a restart. But yeah, it's made a difference. We saw it a lot at Sebring yesterday. We can talk a little bit more about the tire model a little bit later through the broadcast, but yeah, it made a difference yesterday having dirt and whatnot kicked up on the track, even with warm tires.
Now Don Easterland, Started 5th, wasted no time getting up there to the front. We'll have to see if he wants to run the bottom here through 1 and 2, or if maybe when they drop the hammer, he can get up top. It's going to be interesting. Like I say, before these things are up to speed, obviously you're going to want to go to the bottom, but my partner mentioned you are going to eat up those tires, so you got to behave as we enter the Geico restart zone. The green flag waves were underway. Great restart from the 07. He's got about a 4-car length lead as he enters turn 1.
Boy, that's what you call dropping the hammer. He got a really nice jump there.
And Greg McDaniel trying to fight back on the outside. But Josh Robinson, defending series champion, still missing one in that win column, John. He's been really close. We've seen him fighting for podiums every week, but that elusive win has just slipped the 23 machine so far this year.
Yeah, he's been knocking on the door, and you know, there's not a whole lot of pressure for him because you know that win's going to come down the road there. You know, it's just a matter of when, not if. So he can still run pretty good, and no need to hit panic buttons because he hasn't won one yet. There's a lot of races to go before that cutoff.
Yeah, interesting to see there, Josh. He completes the pass, still like in the bottom of the racetrack. We'll see what the tires think about that here, if they can get a long green flag run in, which me and my partner definitely do expect. This league has been nothing short of green flag pit stops. But right now, Don Easterlin pacing the field. Let's see if we can find somebody. Let's go back here to the 32 of John Hastings. Ryan, he is up 11 spots, started 30th, already up to 29. Not wasting any time in that Tide machine.
No, that's called slicing and dicing with only one caution, so you know it's not attrition there. But he's picked up a few spots and definitely looks forward to moving forward, I bet.
And have to pay attention to also other guys not too far behind him. Luke Lane, we had mentioned, he had that EOL, so he had to start in the back. He's moved his way on up a little bit in that code red machine. Not a code red yet, Johnny. Still got plenty of time, but now he's in the middle of the 3 wide. You may be hitting the button. Yeah, Brian Lindsay, that was a big move there. He wasted no time, but back up there towards the front. You can see Tom Ogle starting to lead a charge. He's got the trash man behind him, Daniel Hill, committing to the top. Well, then as soon as I say that, Ogle goes down to the bottom. Daniel stays up top. These guys, I guess right now, feeling like Superman on these new tires, really going everywhere. I mean, if we look at the blimp shot, John, I don't think in the top 12 we have any drivers running the same line. It's really unbelievable.
It is, Zach, and you know that's what makes this track so much fun. Makes it a lot of drivers' favorite tracks because you run high, you run the middle, you run low. You're not giving up time, depending, you know, on any given line. That just equals so much fun.
Yeah, and you know it plays into there's so many different ways to play this. And John, we've seen, you know, we've been dumb before, we've been wrong plenty of times, but if you're in there in the race car, we've seen the long green flag runs. We anticipate one. You think it's a little too much to ask to run on the bottom of the racetrack here for the first 10 laps on those tires?
No, I don't know. You know, for somebody, you know, remember, I've got marginal talent, so yeah, I can't ever make it, you know, work. I burn my stuff up way too quick on the bottom, but you know what? There's guys in this league that are a lot better than I am that, yeah, to answer your question, I bet you these guys can do it.
And Josh Robinson, man, he took a little peek there through 1 and 2, but you could see the steam that Easterlin had off that top shelf. He couldn't get there, and, you know, I don't want to jump away from it, but I'm watching in an aerial camera, and we see guys already running that outside through 3 and 4, getting in the wall, so people already overdriving this thing. We have a long, long way to go, and this is where I like Dwayne MacArthur right now. I think if I had to make a bet, I think that 83's my horse. He's just stalking those top 2, but whoa, the Navy machine brings it back up on the racetrack. He's able to hold on, but the 09, Oh, man, he's having a heck of a time down there, Dave Matson.
Yeah. When something goes wrong inside the car here, it happens in a quick hurry. I mean, even the wall, you talk about guys getting into the wall. By the time you realize, uh-oh, I'm going to get in the wall, it's already too late. You can't, most of the time you got to accept your fate that you're going to get in the wall. Maybe, every now and again you're going to get lucky and keep it off the wall, but usually by the time you realize you're in trouble, yeah, it's too late at a track like this.
And, John talked about, he's a mediocre driver. Well, so am I, too. I've got to subscribe to a subscription pack for setups to even compete in these things. And they give you tutorial videos. And their pro driver was even getting in the outside wall here. They recommended, John, in the video, you can touch it a little bit in 3 and 4, but 1 and 2, you want to stay out of it. 1 and 2 is the treacherous corner, apparently, up against that outside wall.
Yeah, but with a 9 incident level, you don't want to hit it at either end of the track.
And we're seeing now MacArthur.
Oh, we got one in trouble.
How did he keep it out of the water barrier there? Man, he almost met his maker coming out of 4. That was a close one for Crisco. Oh, he did make a little contact, but that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, they would have been notifying next to kin on that one. Oh, man. What a save by Crisco.
Yeah, now Crisco, he's not that he wants anyone else to suffer some misfortune, but a little damage on that left front. He may want to get in here and repair that thing in the early stages. And, John, we've seen guys come back from a lap before as we actually got a little battle for the lead. Josh Robinson taking a peek to the inside, but I believe he's going to get the charge here off of 2. He does, but John, if you're Crisco right now, and let's say we do get a caution, okay? We're flirting around that 2-minute repair time. Are we going to repair the car to where we go a lap down, just get the full repair in? And
we got one in the pits. We're going to do, if it's under caution, I take the repair, yes.
I think you almost have to, and then hope to claw your lap back later, because you don't want to drive out there with a wounded animal.
Yeah, and it's Nicholas Self that pulled down pit road there.
Still on pit road, too. He's been in there for 35 seconds, so you got to think, had to have suffered some damage. Felt like he needed to go in there and repair that thing. And, well, John, we've talked about the right rear sliding, and if you get these things any wheel damage on that right rear and bend that thing out of tow, you're going to slide that much more, and I think you're just going to either lose so much time on the racetrack or you're going to wreck that car and lose all your time on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, that's called a double-edged sword. The thing is, too, about this, we got another caution.
See, there are 3 cars involved in that. The Tide Machine, who I talked about running oh so well, the 32, the boss man, Victor Lane. We'll have to go back and see if we can diagnose what happened here, but John, this is that timely caution that I think a lot of these drivers needed.
Oh, the 10 of Victor Lane got loose off corner exit. The back end of the car got light on him and started to go down and then kind of careened off the 32 and back up the track.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough break there for Victor because obviously stuff happens so fast, but John, neither of those hits right there look too bad. I think it's this one right here that's going to inflict most of the damage on Victor.
Yeah, that's one that's probably going to have some repairs, lengthy repairs done to it.
Now, as drivers duck down
pit road... Oh, they're all coming, yep.
Yeah, does anybody stay out to get this bonus point, John? Do we see anybody stay out? We do have a driver staying out, but do they win the race to the line? No, they don't. I think we give that to Easterlin. Easterlin just crossed the line, and Wanamaker would have crossed the line there, P3. So I don't think he gets credit for that lap, John. I may be wrong.
Yeah, he's going to have to come around a second time to get it. But my seeing cars are going up on the jack stand. So, yep, they are taking tires.
And you're seeing both sides go up. So You get 4 sets, including the one we started the race on, so those drivers now down to 2 left in pit road. Robinson wins the race off pit road here, John, but let's do a little math here. So 120, what's 120 divided by 3? I think that was 40 when I went to school, right, John? And they've only done 23 laps on this first set of tires.
Yeah, they're going to have to take a read of those tires and drive accordingly here if they're going to make one of these sets last a little longer. You said people were running 50, 60 laps out there on them, so they can get back at it, but they're going to have to really look after them. Question now is going to be, does Wanamaker end up staying out, or is he going to dive to pit road? He's got, if he wants that bonus point, he's going to have to ride it out through here, but this next lap, you know, does he come in? He's not. The lights are out.
Yeah, you're doomed now, I think, if you're Alan, and this is where...
Yeah.
Now, John, how... Obviously, okay, you know, Alan, he's doing what he has to do here. But if you're lined up behind him, how aware do you need to be that he is on old tires?
I'm really nervous here, and I'm going to pray that he just holds the line and doesn't try to block or do anything like that, because that's going to cause a wreck. Alan's got to know that these guys are probably going to motor around him pretty quickly, and he's just got to hold the line here.
I was trying to find out who it is. I'm looking here. There's a slow car on the inside going down the backstretch. Couldn't tell what driver it is. I think it was that Red Bull machine.
Could have been someone that's serving
Mark Schrader.
Mark
Schrader. And okay, so John, the deal was he stayed out because he wanted to get on the lead lap, and Alan Wanamaker not pitting caught him, and he didn't realize that, so he's out there on old tires too, towards the back of the pack. That's a tough break for him. He was trying to get on the lead lap, but sometimes you get caught out, and the pace car dives off. We enter the Geico restart
They called
zone.
it off. They called off the green.
Yeah, they are. We're going to call off the green here. So, well, what this means is you're going to see the drivers starting to crawl here because they're going to have to let that pace car get back to the front. Not allowed to get to the line here before that pace car does, or they'll be looking at black flags when we go back racing. So they'll have to slow down here just a little bit. Watch that pace car take over the field. And
okay, the pace car's taking the short way through the corner down there on that access road.
And iRacing doesn't like to help me or my cameraman out. There we go. He's in the perfect view, the view I chose, actually. That's how good Ryan is. So you can see those lights were off in that view on the pace car. So they are going to have to kind of wait here because we're supposed to go back green this time.
Yeah, that pace car is not really in any hurry, it looks like. Now he's moving up through. I think they backed the pace down a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, definitely pulled the leash on the dog there. And now Alan Wanamaker, he gets a little bit more time to think about his decision here. And, well, he's going to be one of the ones that are going to need a caution. I'd imagine 20 to 30 laps, or he's going to be stuck out there making a green flag pit stop. But the pace car dives off one more time. The green flag's high. It's ready to fly. Wanamaker with a good jump on those old tires. He did get a little squirrely. You can see Josh kind of reeling him in now. He had to crack the throttle, and I think Alan sees the writing on the wall, John. He's going to go to the inside, slow her down, and let those guys kind of roll around the outside. Mission complete for the 9-ball.
Yeah, and if this is the long green flag run we get, he is going to have a hard time even staying on the lead lap. I think these guys will swallow him up here, and he'll fall back, and then he's going to have to really worry. I mean, look, he's coming to pit road.
Okay, so he felt that much for the bonus point. He felt the need to come out and get it, but now he's going to be in that land where these guys, you know, green flag pit stop here, John, that's not going to help him at all. They just pit under caution for new tires. There's going to be no difference in lap time, and he's probably going to get caught a lap down.
Yeah, I'm going to think he's going to need a lucky dog to be able to get back into this race.
And we see cars using up that hill there in 3 and 4, trying to build up steam. Such big runs off of turn 4 and turn 2, John. I feel like, this track has changed so much over the years. When I was young, we're kind of rolling around the bottom, but since they've added that progressive banking going up from 16 degrees to 20 degrees, it has encouraged that high side to just eat here in Homestead.
Yeah, I remember when Homestead was a flat, all the corners were like Indy. It was like a mini Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But hey, just to update on Wanamaker, Robinson just passed our finish line, but Wanamaker's probably about 2 full turns ahead of him there. So, I mean, not quite a half a track, but yeah, I still think he was able to get it out and not lose a lap, but I think he's going to be hard pressed to stay on the late lap if we keep a long green flag run.
Yeah, definitely not going to be easy for him to do, especially, we talk about it at some tracks, John, but this is one of those tracks where if you're in line, you are definitely getting some big draft going down the front stretch and the back stretch. This place encourages teamwork.
Yeah, and I think he counted on beating the leaders to the line there and getting that lap and then coming in, and I think it kind of we got a couple out of shape in the back.
I have no idea how he held on to that race car. Man, that Mobil 1 machine was pointed towards the inside wall coming out of 2, and somehow he kept it rolling, and he's trying to pass for one of those spots back, John.
Yeah, that was a heck of a save right there. That's what you call wrecking, but not hitting anything.
Josh Robinson still holding firm in that lead. Remember, he won the battle off pit road, so his pit crew did the work for him. But, a lot of that is getting in and out of that pit stall. Josh has had a lot of practice doing that. Courtney Nelson still fighting with Tom Ogle there for that final podium spot. Tom doing a good job running that middle line, not really allowing Courtney to float up coming out of the corners. And that's where you see the 11 create some distance, a lot of speed as he enters those turns.
Yeah, I can't wait to see when we get maybe a little bit longer run where we got 35, maybe 40 laps on the tires to see kind of where people migrate to and how many actually do stay down on the bottom.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't really get to the point. I mean, we did see some leaders slipping and sliding, but a lot of the leaders have been running that middle top. We've obviously seen some guys like Josh Robinson. There he goes to the bottom in 1. Tom Ogle going to flirt with him, but the majority of the top 10, I would say, running that middle high side, preferring that long run. We got a car coming out of the pits, doing a good job of staying low, letting the leaders get on by. Not going to be a problem.
Yep, letting the leaders go on by, and everybody, the field gives a sigh of relief at that, because I can tell you, Zach, there's nothing worse feeling than being up front and watching somebody pull out of the pits and right up into the racing line.
We are going to have a battle for the lead here soon. Dwayne MacArthur was all over that tail tank. He lifted going into 1. Not ready to race Josh that hard yet, but, man, he is coming with these big runs, and I just think it's to the point where Josh is doing a good job of, it's too early to block. I wouldn't call it blocking, John, but when you're out front, if you're going to run the bottom, you need to do a good job of maximizing that corner entry, and the best way to do that is to swoop down from the outside wall, and it just so happens, maybe you're taking that line away from the guy behind you as well.
Yeah, and not only on your corner entry, but your exit too. You want to drive it up out of the corner, let it drift out to the wall, so you got to make sure you're clear, even though that guy is going to have a big run on the top side, but you got to get up there and make sure you're clear.
Courtney Nelson was finally able to complete that pass there on Tom Ogle a lap and a half ago, and all of a sudden, here he comes working for P2. He's looking under MacArthur. Taking a look at it. Look at that, almost 3 wide. And that Mobil 1 machine, while I'm making Ryan jump all around, that was the car that was just spinning out towards the infield, and we see him going to the top 3 wide. He is trying to make those back. John, I can't believe that his lap. I thought he'd need to let the tires cool down a little more than that, but James, he's right back at it.
Yeah, he is, and we'll have to see if he doesn't pay a little price for that a little bit later in the run, though.
Battle back on for P2 as Nelson gets that peak, but MacArthur Too
We got
quick
one
up
in the
top.
inside wall.
Oh, hard into the inside wall. It looked like for Matson,
09.
but pretty good. Dave was able to keep her rolling, but that left side definitely not the way it comes from the factory.
Yeah, that was a pretty significant shot. But we've seen these cars be pretty durable, so hopefully he can keep her rolling here.
Dave hasn't ducked down pit road as of yet. Feels comfortable enough to keep it out, but you know, man, that was a hard shot, and don't know how long we'll see that 09 be able to keep up with the rest of the field. These guys in P2, they are using up every bit of tire they have. Courtney Nelson on the bottom, still trying to work on by, but with those runs, and MacArthur's getting on the outside, it's all for naught right now. Dwayne, he's got to be sitting there smiling, John, making him work this hard.
Yeah. It's great to watch, though. And, you know, a track like this, we've already said it quite a few times. You can run anywhere and not lose a lot of time. Right there is really a perfect example. One guy's really not gaining too much of an advantage over the other. And they're running two separate lanes, completely different lines.
Dwayne finally says enough's enough. Lets him go by here. Going to see if he can go hunt down the leader. Battle's on there. The trash man diving low for P7. Can he complete the pass on the pole sitter? McDaniel is going to get a big run off the outside, but Daniel goes up, shuts the door, and he's going to hold on to it at the line. Is that the 4 machine? Yeah, Dakota Pishka, Grandpa. I couldn't tell who that was on the side of yellow. Kind of blended in there from the side view, but Grandpa trying to work under that 09. We saw Dave Matson. He made pretty good contact with that inside wall, but still has enough pace in there to stay out there. John, once again, I mean, it's just defending our point. We've talked about it many weeks. These things really are built different, and there aren't many race cars you can go down and slap the inside wall at 160 mile an hour and keep rolling.
No, it really isn't. But you know, we're also getting around lap 42 here, which means these guys are starting to encroach on that 20 laps on their tires. I think these cars now, this is this point in the run where the tires are starting to give up a little bit. Guys are starting to have to maybe go search for different lines, maybe start doing things different with their hands and their feet in the car, you know, with regards to the wheel or their pedals.
Yeah, and you know, Dwayne MacArthur right now, one of those guys searching for those other lines. Tom Ogle is flying behind him. He is trying to find a way around. That last time going down the front stretch, John, that 11 was shoving the 63 down the whole straightaway. He is trying to find a way through, but you see, look out that rearview mirror. He's got 3 wide in front of him, nowhere to go.
And these guys really are going at it pretty good here, and then well, we got a long way to go yet too.
Yeah, you know, you touched on, we're only on lap 44. Next time by, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 100 laps to go, and remember, they've only got 2 extra sets in that garage area. And that red car there, you know, what number we got there? The 25 of McRae. Boy, he had his hands full coming out of 2. That lap 20 mark you talked about, John, that is going to be what we have to watch all night.
Yeah, that's about how long I was guessing, and it really does seem to affect that. But, man, I tell you what, the third on back to 6th, 7th, I mean, this is cool watching. You got 3 on the bottom, 3 on the top.
And all this going on kind of distracted us from the battle for the lead here. Courtney Nelson, he was about 1.5 seconds back. John, when did he reel him in? He was going fishing out here at Miami with 100 laps to go this time by. He is right on the tail tank of the year leader.
So is that him running them down, or is that Robinson backing the pace down to save the tires? That's we get a caution. We'll have to ask some questions to some guys. But look who's right out in front of them, though. They are going to get some lap traffic, and maybe one of them can set him up as a pick.
Yeah, you know, I mean, this is kind of where you see the lap car as we're running out off the hood of Josh, running the bottom. That's where him and Courtney are. So maybe not as comfortable up on that top side. And, you know, we always say, John, you want the lap car to hold their line. You'd rather them stay where they're comfortable, and you have to work your way around. And this is where we might see him lose a little bit of that grip because he's so good on the bottom.
Yeah, not to mention that your timing, you know, when you get in the corner and you're taking a different line you haven't run, you're always going to give up just a little speed just because you got to feel out what your car is now going to do in this lane. You've got all your inputs, all, you know, your wheel to your feet, everything has changed a little bit. Whoa, Josh got loose there, but yeah, this might be interesting. Now there's a few lap cars up there.
Yeah, and well, Ryan had just had it on there. Sean Foltz, man, that 59 car, he is coming through the field too. Up to 12th. Started 36th. 48 laps into this thing. I mean, that Ashley 59, that thing is on the move.
Yeah, and he was last year's runner-up in the points, so he knows how to get it done.
Getting it done here. He ducks to the inside, looking to make the pass here on the 25. And didn't look like there was much of a fight there. Going to lift off early, let the man roll on by. And that's what you got to do sometimes. Just take a page out of the book, learn a little bit, and maybe figure out where that guy in front of you is making up the time. We're back on the... go ahead, John. My bad.
No, I was going to say, it's amazing what you can learn behind somebody if you just have the patience to do a few laps and figure out, because not only can you learn, maybe pick up on something that might help your race out by helping you find speed, then it'll also allow you to maybe find out maybe where they're struggling, so you can set up a pass where, hey, you don't have to use as much of your car up because they're in trouble right there. So you can do a lot of learning following somebody.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, from personal experience, it seems like me, especially when I follow guys like you or Steven, my natural aggressive driving, it seems like drivers want to make up that time on corner entry, John. But what is so bad about that? Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, you send the car in too deep, and then you've got to probably either get on the brakes, which breaks some momentum, or you've got to really use the right side tires to get the car turned at that higher velocity. Well, you can only do that so long before your tires get really mad at you, and next thing you know, you're losing all kinds of time because you've either got to, you know, back her way down in the corners to make the turn, or you just start to lose grip everywhere, and next thing you know, you're running 2/10, 3/10 slower than what you were just 5 laps before that.
And you got to wonder, too, if a couple minutes ago you hit the nail on that head with the Robinson comment, because he's opened that back up to about 3/4 of a second lead now. He's gotten back on the horse. But this is your battle on the racetrack. That 25 trying to roll the outside. The 77 able to float up and shut the door. And these guys, John, maybe, I don't know, a track really shouldn't be cooling off, but it seems like, I don't want to jinx them, knock on wood, cars seem a little more stable this run.
Well, they do, and then, you know, after coming in, analyzing the tires that just came off, you can adjust your style. You know, look, if you got a lot of heat, a lot of wear in that right front, well, that means, you know, to your point earlier, it means we're driving the corner. Start backing your corners up. Let's get the wear out of that tire, you know, or, you know, sometimes you can even look at it and say, wow, you know what, I could have went a lot harder that run. There's a lot of tread on that tire. And then you can go a little harder. So, yeah, pit stops are great because you can get a lot of data to figure out what you're going to do next.
As the top 10 start to roll in, I'm going to take a look over here. The quickest guy last time by was Tom Ogle in the 11, ran a 34.34. Your leader running a 34.45. So pretty similar times, but the 11 still has some good pace running there in P4. But that James Hislop, man, that Mobil 1 machine, I keep waiting every time he comes on the camera to start slipping and sliding after almost eating that inside wall. But he's doing a good job of not... Oh, there it was. Okay, there it was. I jinxed him a little bit. But, John, we knew with that tire slide, that was only a matter of time. especially if he keeps running the bottom.
Yeah, and you were talking lap times earlier. These guys now are almost 3/4 of a second slower than what they were on some new tires. So that's an awful big drop-off, and that's going to continue to go that direction. And maybe by the time they're done here, it might be a second and a half, maybe.
I mean, you got to think, we had talked about 40 laps per. They'd pit on lap 23. So if the drivers want to go equal set with their tires here, they were looking at a 40-lap run. They've got about 8 more laps. But with the strategy Kotska threw at us last week, I don't think you can really, the short pit is going to pay off. Not with the, 13, 14-second pit stops. Maybe if we had some F1 pit crews in here, John, we might see some more pit stops. But I just think track position is so important.
Yeah, those guys in F1 amazed me. 4-second, 5-second stops. I felt bad for the drivers because, you don't really get to relax.
No, that's something I never really thought about actually until right now. So that's, I mean, even if you damage the wing, you don't get a lot of time to think about what they do. They'll still change that in 7 seconds.
No, back in the day, before you got these, water systems in the car and everything else that feed through the helmet. I mean, you used to hand you a glass of water, you hand it back. They, a guy would reach in, clean your goggles off. I mean, you had all kinds of time to sit and take a breath. But yeah, today's F1, you pull in and you pull out pretty much in the blink of an eye. It almost seems like sometimes.
Third time's the charm there for James Hislop. Finally able to complete that pass, and Dave Mattson still in that Navy machine, trying to complete a pass there on Luke Lane, and he's still driving that thing after getting to the inside wall, hasn't made a pit stop. And Dave really gonna need a caution flag here if he wants to be able to get up here and contend with maybe a top 10, because John, with that damage, I mean, going in there hitting the wall, he's still got a lot of pace. You got to think if he can fix this thing up, he's in the mix for a top 10.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another guy that's looking for a caution is Alan Wanamaker. He's now falling a lap down, but he is not the last car on a lead lap. They're starting to put other cars down, so that's going to take his opportunity for a lucky dog and kind of toss it out the window a little bit.
That's exactly what Josh Robinson's done with this lead, too. He opened it up. He opened up the window. 2 seconds over Courtney Nelson, and Josh, he is tired of that little bear being on his back, man. He wants to get in that wind column, and as we approach closer to halfway, he's doing a good job of doing that. But the Rusty's machine going to look low here going into 1, and this is where we see slides up a little bit. John, the longer we go, the more we're going to see guys make contact. On corner, he almost, oh boy, he hangs on to it, Wolford. Oh my gosh. These guys, man, they're going to give me a heart attack tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? I should point out real quick, Alan Wanamaker is now behind. I think this might be one of the positions for that lucky dog here. The car, now there's a couple cars between them, but he's closed in to try to regain that lucky dog. But there's probably about 40 car lengths out in front of Josh. There's a couple more cars that are going to take it right back away.
Yeah, and Alan, here he comes in that 74 machine. Looking to take a peek. He's behind the 83. That's the battle for the lucky dog spot. That white car, Alan going to look to the bottom here in 1 and 2. Backs it up. Not going to drive it in deep, and this is where Alan, I know he wants to work himself back as the lucky dog, John, but if we look at a bigger picture, there's a lot of cars on the lead lap coming, so you got to be careful about how you do this.
Yeah, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing, but he also needs to realize, too, Josh is about to put other folks a lap down here, so, I mean, he could snag this position and put himself in a lucky dog spot, but now Josh is probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 car lengths behind the next guy that's going to go lap down.
See, they're rolling the outside. Guys just really having to back up corner entry, really slow it down. You got to make time coming off the corner, but that's where you see the guys slipping and sliding. You just want to get too aggressive on that throttle in the 18. of Martin almost goes around there on the inside. Now, you know, oh, Madsen, he gets a little bit loose when he turns down off that wall. And, you know, John, that banking, it's so appetizing wanting to turn down and get that big run coming off the corner. But when your right rear just isn't there, you're not going to be able to do that here at this stage of the race.
Yeah, well, not when you have really, I don't want to say shoddy tires, but the good has definitely been knocked off of them by this point.
Josh Robinson, he's just clicking cars off here, laps down. This is where a caution flag could really, really hurt some people. And maybe got to play the long game. You know, if you're Allen, I know you don't want to, but you're almost forced to stay out here until the leaders pit if you're already a lap down, aren't you, John? And then you got to hope for a caution.
Yeah, I mean, that's about right. Your best bet would probably be when you find the leader pits. If you can manage to go one lap and pit after him, you might be able to get a little advantage if you can get on and off pit road pretty quick, because, you know, we've touched on this a few weeks past, but you can make up a lot of time on how you get to pit road and how you get off. So, yeah, that's really got to be what his plan is here right now.
Josh Robinson last time by a 34.47, so he's pretty much staying right around that fall off. We see other guys in the 34.7s and 34.5s. Lloyd Moore, one of the guys with a 34.5, taking a peek to the outside of Courtney Nelson. He almost loses the rear end. He's got to let it gather itself up. And, man, Courtney, I think if you're watching out of the rearview mirror at this point in the race, John, you know that guy's a little quicker. Do you maybe make this pass a little easier than you would later in the race?
Yeah, I mean, you should, but it also goes back to if you like the guy or not, too. You know, I mean, one thing about racers, you know, you tend not to forget about things. So if that's the guy that's giving you a hard time in the past, these are the scenarios where, you know what, you can repay the favor a little bit without doing anything dirty, but, you know, maybe might make life a little more difficult. I think most of these guys get along in this particular league, so I don't know if there's a whole lot of that going on, but I'm just throwing it out there because I've seen it. And, well, confidentially, Zach, I've done it.
I can verify that. We both have done it. And, well, Moore, he gets it done. He gets to go on the charge. But the leader, 4.7 seconds up the road. This is where, if you're Moore, you know, you probably want to go stay out here until you can one-stop this thing. I think that's
I think that's what the field's. Yeah, I think that's going to be everybody's attitude. Keep a set of tires in, so if you get that late caution. But yeah, you try to get it to where you're confident that you can not only get it to the end, but get it through a green-white checker scenario too.
Yeah, and if you're Lloyd, obviously you tried to do the math. I mean, John, are you coming down the first moment you know you can make it to try to make up a little bit of ground on new tires? Because, I mean, we saw it. If anybody, you'll hear us talk about F1 a lot. We love that road racing. And you hear them talk about the undercut, and it really worked for some teams this last weekend. And I think this is a track where if we kind of see the fall-off stop around that, you know, mid-34-second bracket, we might see some good strategy with an undercut.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would try to get about maybe 3-4 laps past that just to have that little bit in the tank. Yeah, if I'm running back, I mean, here's the thing too. You got to remember, if you're running up front, you're going to lose less time because the leader's closer to you. But if you're towards the back, at this point, if I got put a lap down and I think I can make it, I am diving to pit road as soon as I go a lap down. Man, these guys, I think they have fallen off because the centering speeds, these guys are slowing way, way down.
Yeah, some of the guys last time by Courtney Nelson, a 34.93, whereas second, Lloyd Moore, 34.5 and a 34.6 for the leader. We're seeing some guys, John, that's a second and a half off his quickest time.
Yeah, and if you stretch another 5, 6, 7 laps, you're going to be looking at 2 seconds a lap. And that is where the undercut becomes very tempting, because 2 seconds, you get 4 or 5 laps of that. That's 8 seconds on the track. That's a big advantage.
And we're not going to see too many places tested out this year, John, but we did talk about it at some of the racetracks. Where you slide this right rear tire too much, if you get to about that 40-30% wear,
we got a couple on pit road.
Yeah, you've got to watch out for those things blowing up now, and I think some of the other drivers may be worried about it. They're going to come down pit road.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a helpless feeling because you've been rolling the corners so well, keeping speed up, and now with the tire wear where it's at, yeah, it's actually agonizing to be in the center of the corner because you just feel like you're going so slow, like, you know, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get run over slow, and that's where guys have to be patient through this time period.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, John, too, that a driver like me, you kind of talk about overdriving those entries. I kind of do that. When you start to back those corners up so much and you go so slow, when the car finally catches in the center, it wants to over-rotate on you, it almost seems like. So the car, it's so tight, it's loose. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, it breaks loose because you've got so much wheel turned into, you know, the steering wheel turns so much that when it finally does bite, next thing you know, the back end wants to swap around on you. So we are seeing people trickle in here on the pits, though, that's for sure.
We're still seeing side-by-side action this deep into the run. In the middle of the pack, that's Sean Foltz on the outside trying to use all that speed. See, he gets a good run off the corner, but now he's got a car up there in front of him. Hey, thought about ducking in the middle, almost lost the rear end on that, John. That was a good save by the 59.
Yeah, and Foltz is a guy that needs a good run here. He's had a lot of trouble here early on in the season, so he's a guy that's really got to buckle down here and get a good finish. Probably for nothing else than his confidence. I mean, he's a solid driver. You know, we touched on it that he was second in the points last year, but you know, racing's a confidence game. You know, if you've kind of been kicked around and not gotten finishes over 2, 3, 4 races, which can be a month's time, you know, it grades on you for a while.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just always, I mean, it'll creep up on you, you know. We may be sim racing here, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm telling you, they're going to think about this in the shower when they're done. They're going to think about what they could have done different, make a pass here and there. We got a car sitting sideways on the apron coming out of 4. No caution. I can't see who it is. Trying Mark Strader in the Red Bull machine. I think he was coming down pit road, John, and just lost it. Yep.
Yeah, easy to do here.
Yeah, and I don't want to make Ryan stay here forever, but Ryan, stay here forever because, oh, never mind. A car almost got hit. It was really close. I want to give credit to, let me rewind, Torrance Childs. He almost had to come to a stop. The Red Bull machine kind of pulled up the track in front of him there as he was coming down pit road. That was a good move for Torrance. That was Code Brown, as we like to say, John. He had to hold on.
Yeah. Those are always interesting moments behind the wheel. And, you know, and that's not as easy as it looks to folks that may not do a lot of iRacing or any iRacing or anything.
Well, there was a little contact.
Yeah, oh, but I can tell you, it's a heck of a lot harder to get yourself out of trouble than it actually is to go fast. Be able to get yourself out of trouble without wrecking fully or collecting others, that, I tell you, that's the mark of a good race car driver that can get themselves out of trouble like that.
You know, a lot more drivers come down pit road here now. Our leader's still staying out, but man, it's getting to the point where they're going to have to start thinking about it. I would think, John, you're coming, we'll have 65 laps to go when Josh comes across next time. I would think that's right on the edge of the fuel window. So some of those other guys that pit, maybe they're going to have to do stoppers.
Yeah, they're going to be hoping for a caution. But meanwhile, they're running way faster laps than the leader. So they're closing the gap significantly to the guys that are staying out this long. So, yeah, it's a double-edged sword. But, man, there is a in front of Josh. These guys are trying to run 3 and 4 wide. And I heard Josh just lift to back away so he doesn't get caught in something.
one of those cars doing it is that 83 machine we just saw
there
spin out on the apron. So fresh tires, that shows like Superman. I mean, Josh was way quicker, had the pace, but now he's fighting the loose race car. So's the Todd machine in front of him. He lets him roll by. But man, oh man. He's getting good here, John.
It is, and I am going to be curious to see how long he does stay out, though. I mean, he's built himself a nice little lead here to Robinson, so he's got a little bit to play with here.
Courtney Nelson down pit road. He was running in P3, I think. No, he didn't go down pit road. I lied. I'm a liar. My SDK lied. Our producer's SDK was correct. I looked over at his. Darn you. It's the English are coming after us. That's what it is.
I think Josh is coming in. Nope, he's going to go one more, or a few more anyway.
Yeah, it looks like
down. I couldn't believe how slow he got in the middle of that corner.
Yeah, and he made sure he was as low as he could going down the backstretch, too. I thought for sure we were going to see him make a pit stop.
Oh, I wonder if he felt like he couldn't turn it down without spinning.
Maybe that may have been what we saw happen to the 83 there, that Red Bull machine. You know, I mean, you beat up this right rear so much, John. Another thing, you know, they aren't. It's. I don't think NASCAR does either, but they aren't. You don't have to use the access road. So something we maybe didn't touch about.
Yep, not under green.
Yeah, that banking coming off of there, that can be really nasty, especially after a lot of right side tire wear.
Yeah, some leagues make them run that access road. I paid attention earlier when they got a caution there, and they all dove in from there. But evidently here, this one here, they're going to allow them to do under green. But yeah, there's a lot of leagues out there that will make them go down and hit this access road coming into turn 3.
See here, as we know it's coming, leaders coming to lap 85. This will be 60 laps to go. Josh still rolling around.
About 60 laps on the tires too.
Yeah, no, this actually, yeah, you're exactly right. This would be if you had to cut it in half. Yeah, we hit lap 23, so about 59 green flag laps on them. So this would be, if you're listening to us out there, this is the cut it in half point if you could make it the rest of the way on gas. And you got to think guys like Lloyd Moore, 6 seconds off the lead. Courtney Nelson, this is maybe not too early to make your move.
Yeah, I would have to think too, if I'm Josh, I'm watching the relative screen, which tells you how far guys are behind you, that you can see as you're driving. And if I saw one of my competitors maybe in the top 5 dive down, I'm a scaredy cat. I'm not going to gamble too much. I think I'm going to probably be pitting there pretty quick thereafter.
Let's see, down to 18 guys on the lead lap. Crisco coming up soon here to get on the chopping block, but more guys coming down pit road. Sean Foltz, he said enough's enough. That's a guy who, you know, P2 in the series last year. We expect him to contend for some wins. At 93, I would be shocked there if Martindale doesn't get a pit road speeding penalty, John. That was a hot entry.
Yeah, the cones where you got to be at pit road speed, you're like right at the end of the wall. You've got to make sure you're woed up in time. I kind of figured we'd see, and I touched on the top of the show, I did think we'd see a few speeding penalties come from this track.
Top 3 still driving by the pit road entrance. Top 4 make it. Tom Ogle joins the party. I'm waiting. It's got to be coming. Right now, Josh Robinson leading the way, going down the backstretch. He gets around lap traffic. We're seeing MacArthur come down pit road. He was running in the top 10. Easterlin. Now we're starting to see the dominoes fall. And, John, I think you're exactly right. You said the leader, pay attention to your relative. I think 4th, 5th, and 6th, they're going to have to start paying attention to theirs.
Yeah, because that's a much tighter battle. You give up 2 seconds a lap, you're going to come back out of the pits and find yourself a half a straightaway.
Courtney Nelson and Tom Ogle coming down pit road here. Daniel Hill going to stay out, but that's 2 of your top 4. And Tom Ogle, you know, John, that's something I like to highlight. Look at how close that gap is. He nailed that pit road entry. He was about 1.5 seconds on the racetrack behind. and he's right there now. Excellent job, Tom. Aced that.
Yep, great place to make up time.
Now Josh Robinson, he drives around. He puts him a lap down. So they are a lap down now, but Josh, the clock has...
Oh, and a caution!
Oh, caution flag flies, and this is... Oh, John! All right, okay, we got a lot to unpack here. First off, we got to figure out how the caution came out, and oh, man, did Josh Robinson just win the race?
No, I mean, they'll get a wave around as Josh comes to the pit, so that'll put him in front, so they'll get a wave around, but he's got to ensure track position is what that's got to boil down to.
There you see it, the 25. Oh, he gets a little help. Oh, man, that is a hard shot. Broken left front. You can see that thing bouncing. As much as, you know, you don't want a caution flag to fly there, John, he did exactly what you need to do there. If he keeps trying to drive that thing around, that's just going to cause a mess. Now, oh man, I want to bring up Josh so bad, but we can't until he goes
get his pit. Yeah, let him get through the pits.
Yeah. Oh.
You know, and I'm going to touch on this. We talked a little bit earlier about, as we see them come down pit road here, about him doing the right thing and just taking the toe back to the thing. Yesterday in the Sebring race, and this must be something new, and we talked about debris on the track, but yesterday we were driving the GTP car and we got into a pretty big wreck there, and believe it or not, it was leaking fluid behind it. I haven't seen that before, but the fuel tank ruptured and was leaving fuel out on the track, and when they get that kind of up and going into perfection, that's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about, I mean, obviously we don't see it in here. It really hasn't been a problem, but
no,
so many other leagues, John, you see people not lift when they see that caution flag fly. And oh man, if you do that now, when that stuff starts dripping down across the racetrack, oh, you are going to have your hands full.
Yeah, hey, we can bring Josh up real quick if you want.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do that. Hey, Josh, you're up here in the booth, man. This Shaggy, you got a copy?
Hey, how's it going?
I'll tell you what, man. You couldn't have played that any better. You stay out, you get that caution flag, you travel out of the field. Now, obviously, you'll be able to get back on the tail end of the lead lap here, go around, but fresh tires up front, man. You got to be feeling good.
Yeah, I'm pretty good about that. It's a good feeling, but it's unfortunate when guys get caught, you know, a lap down to the pits just going through their pit cycle.
Well, you know, looking now for the rest of the race here, we're going to get a green flag, and there's going to be, you know, just over 50 some odd laps to go here. What is your strategy now at the end of the race to get to the end of the race here?
Oh, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run the exact same pace as I was. That worked out pretty darn well, and then you know, we'll see how it goes, and some guys might be a little bit more aggressive because we only got 50 laps to the end here, so might have a little bit more aggression on this one, but we only got one set of tires left, so we want to make sure that we're not abusing them.
You're 1 to green, I think. We'll send you back home, but good luck here, Josh. Bring it home.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
You seem pretty confident there, and well, he answered my question. I was going to ask him how many more. Well, I thought they were 1 to go. They tricked me when they doubled up, so I sent him back.
Yeah, but here's the thing you got to remember too about these wave arounds. I don't think they're allowed to pit. Am I correct in that?
They can, I think, but they'd have to go to the tail end of the lead lap, even lap down cars.
Yeah, well, nobody at the field cycled around and nobody dove down the pit road, so
I don't think they can, John, for the sheer reason of you heard him say that
they
only
already
have one
pit,
set of tires left.
But what my point is, he's got probably 10, 15 laps fresher rubber on him. Remember what happened to Allen at the beginning of the race when he dropped back? These guys are going to really struggle staying on the lead lap. If we have another green flag run like this, these guys are going to be hurt.
Yeah, they are definitely in the camp where they need another caution. And I think, I mean, not that they want one to happen, but you've got to see some of the fast guys who maybe were trapped, Sean Foltz, Tom Ogle, guys like that really push the pace.
It's too bad
they clicked the lights on. They clicked the lights on. We're not going back green yet.
No, but too bad we're in the virtual world. These guys can't just reach up to one of the 8 posts and take some of the styrofoam down and throw it out on the track to bring your caution out.
Oh, those were the days, man. You see some of those old 80s in-car cameras that would rat them out.
Throw water bottles out.
I miss probably the favorite story. I mean, obviously, I don't smoke anymore, but it's one of those glory days. What's the story? Jeff Gordon going down the backstretch at Daytona, looking up, seeing Rusty Wallace, hands tight on the wheel. He looks down, and Dale Earnhardt's just looking over at him. One hand.
Oh, yeah, Jeff Gordon just kind of nodded at him. But, you really want to go to old school. Back in the day, Dick Trickle used to have a cigarette lighter in his car, and under caution, he'd light him up. There's plenty of in-car showing him having a cigarette under caution. Look that up, Dick Trickle smoking during caution. Look that up on YouTube. You'll see some great videos of that.
We used to be a proper country, John. We used to be a proper country. I think you still can't smoke cigarettes in NASCAR races, though.
Yeah, but this day and age, you've got to be at your top fitness level. And I kind of question, even Tony Stewart, who loved them cheeseburgers, he realized diet, a little later in his career, he valued eating a little better. Boy, look at this lineup here. You got double file, and then look at all these one-lap cars that are EOL'd from being wave around. That is a lot of cars with an EOL.
Yeah, especially when, they're not really required to, but there's a lot of gap in that. So if you're at the back of that snake, man, you got a long way to go. As the pace car dives off, we get set to enter that restart zone, and Josh Robinson drops the hammer, and we're back underway. Lap 96 here at the Homestead Speedway. Already, they're wasting no time. Going 3 wide, Easterlin in the middle there. Boy, oh boy, you got to go while you got that grip. You see Tom Ogle, he works his way in the middle 3 wide too. And I think, John, this is kind of what I was going to say there before they extended the caution. If you're those guys like Foltz, Ogle, you got a quick race car, you don't, okay, what's the nice way to say this? You don't obviously want to wreck anyone, John, but you got to use your speed, you got to use your pace, maybe make those guys feel uncomfortable, force somebody into something so you stand a chance to bring this one home, because you got a long way to go up to the front.
Yeah, and everybody is probably keenly aware that Josh kind of ran away and hit a little bit on that last run, so they know they've got to stick with him or it's going to be game over here pretty quick.
Josh, took everything I thought I knew about this place and threw it out the window too. He's run the inside so well, and he's just kept those tires nice and cool. And that's really something that this isn't me just blabbering on about. I don't know how those guys have mastered that. I can kind of keep the tires okay up top. But, man, with the pace he's got on the bottom, it's absolutely blowing my mind. And I think it's blowing Moore's mind, too. He's trying to keep up with him, but I think he's using a lot more than that 23 is right now.
Yeah, but he's starting to – Josh is getting pushed a little bit here. So, and one thing I've learned about Josh and watching him, he's incredibly disciplined. And you heard him in the interview, I'm going to just try to run at the pace that I was running at. Save the tires. So, I think that he probably let somebody go just to stay on his own game plan, which is incredibly smart to do.
Yeah, and other guys who would do stuff like that, Jimmy Johnson comes to mind. If it's not his time of the race, he just lets you go. He knows it'll come back to him at the end. And those are the guys, man, the sneaky fast ones, that are real quiet. Those are the ones you got to watch for.
Yeah, David Pearson, Mark Martin, those guys, they were really, really smart with their equipment.
Guys battle all over this racetrack. Now, trying to see here. There are a lot of guys still stuck a lap down. Now, I'm trying to make sense of some of this here. So maybe somebody... Like, looking at our leaderboard, John, help me make sense of this. A lot of those guys, so I was focused on Tom Ogle. I thought he was trying to work his way up to the front. He's still a lap down. I'm kind of confused at how when those guys got the wave around, they got trapped.
Yeah, there was some cycling through the pits that happened there, and yeah, that's. But Tom's driving like mad to make sure he stays. He wants to be that lucky dog. That 14 car right now of Eddie Jones is the lucky dog car. Tom is behind him. Eddie's on the bottom. Tom's on the top. Here comes Tom with a run, and now there you go. Tom is now in the lucky dog position.
Yeah, and you know, he's definitely in the camp where you got to use up what you had to get to that lucky dog position, and now just try to hold on to it and hope for a caution. But man, and that 14, he ain't going away. Eddie trying to get a run back. MacArthur there taking a peek on the bottom. Dude wipes machine going to the outside, but the 59 of Foltz thinking about making it 3 wide. But we take a peek back up front. We got Lloyd Moore taking a peek on the bottom. Josh Robinson going to go to the outside. We haven't seen much of this from him here. Able to hold it at the line, but Lloyd not going anywhere. And Josh, maybe a case of, you know, I'll leave that door open for you, get you excited, try to make you use your stuff up a little bit. Battle. Man, they're battling all over here. Eddie Jones going back at Tom Ogle, too. Lloyd Moore going down for a peek, but he backs up the corner entry so much trying to save up that right front. And he just can't make enough through the center because of the speed Josh Robinson has coming off the top. Man, it's just, you want it so bad, but John, you just can't take it.
Yeah, and you got to stay disciplined not to gas it up and start pushing that right front off the tire, too, on corner exit. So these guys are being smart. I mean, the leader's right up there, and still got a good bit of racing left here to go.
Yeah, and, you know, kind of creeping back up into the picture, Greg McDaniel, he started on the pole. He fell back a little bit in the beginning, flirted with pulling out of the top 10, but now he's rolling back up right there in third, and he can see those leaders. If they get the battle in a little bit, he may be able to insert himself into this, but he's got to get going because the trash man, you see him reeling him in there. Daniel Hill is coming in. Tom Ogle rolling the outside here. We got a little battle for the lucky dog spot, but he's able to hold on for now. And we saw Tom, John, we had mentioned it there. He had started way back on this restart. He definitely had to use up a lot of his stuff, so he may be at the point where already 10 laps into this run, he might be feeling it.
Yeah, but now Courtney just had back end step out there, so, you know, Courtney Nelson now is starting to really put pressure on, so I think Courtney Nelson's used up his stuff too a little bit here to get there. Now, who's got better tires at this point? Now, that's, you know, yet to be determined, but these guys are driving hard for that spot.
Take a peek there. Who we got? We got the sun shining on that Luke Lane machine, the code red. Got Tom Ogle there trying to take a peek under the trash man, but that allowed Courtney Nelson to reel him back in, and now Nelson, he's taking a peek one more time on the bottom of 1 and 2. That's for the lucky dog.
Yeah, and that momentum just wins out almost every time that we're seeing.
We're watching this. The leader starting to open up the can a little bit. Still under that half a second margin.
Nelson beat Ogle that time to the line.
We'll have to see. Is he willing to park it up in front of the 11? This is where
he's got nowhere to park it.
Yeah.
In front of Ogle.
That's where if you're Courtney Nelson, you're so pumped, you're making it work a little bit, but there's just no room. And now Tom,
no,
he
yeah.
shuts the door.
He sure did. He went high, and oh man.
Yeah, and this is where we haven't talked about Eddie Jones in a while. They're the Raging Cajun, but if these guys keep racing this hard, John, he may be the one in that lucky dog spot.
That's exactly right. I'm almost certain that's probably crossed his mind right there coming out of 4.
Yeah, you can't blame these guys. I mean, they are just trying to get themselves into the show here. They want a piece of the pie, and to do that, they're going to need a caution flag to fly. Ogle, he gets a little loose. You heard John saying, we're watching the front two. Moore got a little loose as well coming off of 4. He was a lot closer to Robinson coming off of the corner than through the center of the corner than on exit.
Look at this. Back there, Robinson and then Ogle just split our pole sitter. They are really fighting hard for that position. But going back to the leader here real quick, we saw this earlier. Josh saving his stuff, backed up to the field, and then took off. So, again, I got to think this might be Josh just saving his stuff a little bit.
And, we've talked at it, especially Phoenix, but you do have some aero problems. You get up behind that car in front of you. So, almost that's a good way of playing defense. Back the car up, change the airflow on the guy behind you's nose, and maybe get them working that right front a little harder than they've been in the previous couple laps.
Yeah, this is, I'm still just mesmerized by the battle for the lucky dog. These cats, Tom Ogle and Courtney Nelson, side by side, I bet you probably is what seems like 20 laps now. Just really keep racing hard for that spot.
Probably seems like 40 to them, especially Courtney on the bottom, but he may finally get it done, John. He's got the room, but he didn't go up and shut the door. Tom,
how many times you got to say this? He boxed him in with a lead lap car.
Now we got a battle for the lead. Josh Robinson, he takes a peek to the inside. He sees that 26, but not enough of a run. He's able to shut the door going into 1. Now Moore floats up a little bit in the center, trying to get some speed coming off the corner. Maybe get a little bit of a crossover. Does he try to go up top? He's going to cut under. Let's see what he does going into 3. This is where so many games being played. You can see Robinson enter that corner so wide and slow, but just hammers the throttle and gets all that acceleration off. And boy, man, oh man, he is just wondering, what do I got to do to get by this 23?
Yeah, almost maybe it's worth it to see if I can drive it in and slide him. Try it one time if it works.
Yeah, and there you see Moore. The rear end steps out on him, and John, I think that's where you're exactly right. I think you're better off going in for a full send, one corner, sliding that thing a little bit, than beating the heck out of it for 3, maybe 4 laps in a row. You're just generating so much tire heat, trying to crank that thing down on the bottom and make a pass.
Yeah, now Robinson kind of pulls out just a little bit, a couple, 2-3 car lengths now.
We're getting to the point here where we don't want one, but boy, oh boy, would a caution flag be interesting. A 30-lap sprint with some fresh tires. But Lloyd Moore trying to work with what he's got here is Josh. He's opening up the can a little bit since we saw that slide from Moore. Now maybe Moore just backing it down, trying to let the tires come back to him. But right now it's not looking too good for the man in the 26. MacArthur takes a peek. He's looking under Isaacs. This is for 6th. These guys were the wave around cars, so they were at the back of the field here. That's why you see such a big gap in between 4th and 5th place. About 6 seconds. So those drivers definitely going to need a little bit of a caution flag to tighten them back up. Man, oh man, Josh Robinson, John, that lead is over a second now.
Yep, and that's exactly what we saw earlier. You know, kind of rolled back. We thought, oh, he's in trouble, and then 4 or 5 laps later, he had a giant lead, and well, he's done it once again. And again, that's discipline. And I touched on it earlier. I'm going to say it again. That's the right way to do things.
You were seeing there a couple seconds ago, we had Don Easterlin on the screen. He was able to work around Tom Ogle. Now trying to reel in Courtney Nelson to get in that final lucky dog spot. Oh, it's James Hislop. I thought he was going to get run out of room there. That was a close one. Maybe gave him a little bump drop down the straightaway. Said, hey, man, I didn't like that. And opened the door back up top. But that was a close call there for the 92. Ogle looking back to the bottom under Easterlin. But he's just got so much steam off the top that Easterlin hoping maybe the trash man slows down Courtney Nelson a little bit. And he can find a way to come back at him. But Tom Ogle, man, he sent that in deep to 1. He made it stick there. I thought he was going to slide up in front. He's right back there to the inside, but good night. He's got to fall back in line.
He does, and you know, that fight between Tom Ogle and Courtney Nelson, I'm wondering how much that took out of those cars. And now you're starting to see Easterlin creep up and creep by those guys, so I'm kind of wondering if he didn't get a little advantage by just watching and not being involved in that scrum.
Jerry Isaacs trying to find him. Not Jerry Isaacs, excuse me, Sean Foltz in that 59. Still stuck that lap down, but up 28 spots, John. You know, we've talked about him having a rough year, a lot of downs so far. Maybe not where he wants to be, but a top 10, that could be a move in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. Top 10s, you always feel good about top 10s. I mean, that means you had a pretty decent points day. You probably didn't lose a whole lot of ground to anybody around you. You know, if you did, it's probably minimal. Yeah, I mean, you top 10 your way. You could top your 10 your way into the championship, you know, at the end of the year there.
Man, Easterlin all but wrecking, trying to hold on to that thing. He's just trying to get to the back of Courtney Nelson. He's gotten closer. That is the battle for the lucky dog. We're also getting a little bit of a battle for 5th place starting to heat up. MacArthur is reeling in Bates, and oh, we had a car getting the wall in front of Bates. You're going to see the slow car there on the outside wall. Oh, that was close. Almost got into Bates, but a car got in the wall through 3 and 4.
Gavin Adams.
No caution.
No, not Gavin. I don't know who that was.
That was a close call.
There's your caution.
The caution. There is the caution. And who is our lucky dog, John? Who is the winner? It's going to be Courtney Nelson.
I'm trying to see where the caution came from.
Yeah, Kelvin Masur, and it started in turn 4. He had gotten the wall in 4, starts bouncing down the wall, going down the front stretch, and he goes to turn it in there, and you can just see it. Tires are so angry at him, it stepped out. He didn't stand a chance. He locks it up, come to a stop. See, he disappeared there. I think we may have had an incident limit on that second wall hit.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
But now,
yeah, he overcorrected though and popped that wall that second time over in 3 and 4. But
you got to pit, right, John? You got to, right?
Oh, I think so, 100%.
Well, we see the top 4 diving down.
And now here's the other piece of this.
They all come.
Josh Robinson, we saw him strong on long runs. This is now a shootout. Is he actually faster in the short run than these other guys? This is going to be real interesting to watch play out now.
And we're going to have to keep our eyes on this race off pit road. Josh Robinson nailed the first set of caution flag pit stops. Let's see if he can do it again here. And we'll have to see. Maybe after these drivers come off of pit
Josh is rolling. Looks like he's going to maintain there.
Let's see if we can pull up, John. Maybe we'll talk to the 26-year Lloyd Moore. See what he's got here on the short run. Maybe he can make a move. Lloyd, Shaggy up in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
I'll tell you what, man, we've seen a couple long green flag runs, but now we've got a short run here, maybe 19, 18 green flag laps. Do we have anything for the 23?
I don't know if I got anything for him. I've just been kind of tucking in behind him and trying to let him pull me around the track for a while. And, we'll see. It depends on how much pressure I get from behind. If, if I got to fend those guys off, I'm going to try to settle in here for second. But, if Josh and I get spread out and stuff, I'll try to get him a few laps like I did here a little while ago.
Well, you know what? Now that you got a run to the finish here, and tires are really not going to be that much of an issue, where do you want to be? You want to be on the top of the track? You want to be on the bottom? Where do you think you can make the most time out there?
Oh, I'll be on the bottom. I'm a bottom feeder when it comes to this track. I don't like being on the outside here where Josh controls the restart. That'll hurt a little bit, but I know these guys, Greg and Dan, will pressure a little bit, but I know, I got a better car, so just got to let things come in and see how it all plays out.
Hey, pay window's open. Go get them, Lloyd.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
John, I'll tell you, he maybe didn't promote it, but I think he's confident there. He's just trying to hide it a little bit. He may have something.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see this because, when we watch these guys start on these things, Josh wasn't quick to pull away. It wasn't until after about 20, maybe 25 laps that he really started to stretch out here. So, but the one advantage, I know that he was talking about Josh having an advantage here on the bottom. He does, but you know what? You don't have to go all the way to the wall on 1 and 2. You can run that middle lane and hold it wide open and keep him pinched down, and you might be able to make a run that go right by him on the backstretch.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think that's the move you got to make here. You got to nail this restart, and you got to almost ride him like a horse on that right side. Just be right on that door. Don't give him any room. And try to take that momentum. You can get down the backstretch and take this lead because we've seen you can pass here, plenty of room, but if you take that preferred line away on the bottom, especially through the middle of 3 and 4, it is going to be tough to make the move. We'll have to see what these guys can do here as the lights are off. They were off the last time. They clicked them back on one more time. So we should go green this time by as long as everybody behaves themselves out here.
Wow, race car drivers behave.
Yeah, that is asking a lot. But right now, some things obviously. Sean Foltz, he is back. He is back on the lead lap, actually, in that 59 machine. So keep an eye on him. He's up 28 spots. He'd love to go make a move here, get that thing into the top 5. You never know, John. You talked about race car drivers being nice. We may not be done with the cautions yet here.
Yeah, real quick before the green, watch that one on the outside of row 2. Remember, he's the pole sitter. That car's got speed.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely got at least that 1 lap pace. We'll see what he does as we're back underway. Good restart for the 23 of Josh Robinson. And now this is maybe Lloyd's worst nightmare. The trash man gets to the inside here. Lloyd talked about how bad he wanted that inside. And now you see these guys fighting hard for P2. This is allowing Josh to just pull some gap on that leash.
Yeah, Lloyd was able to get onto the bottom. That's where he wants to be. Oh, the trash man just pounded the wall in 3 and 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4 guys caught in the wall there through 3 and 4 as I was watching, just trying to get all they can out of this racetrack, and you can see, I told you guys, the 3 and 4 wall doesn't hurt you that much. He's still had a big run. It's 1 and 2 that they said you got to stay away from, and big run for the trash man as he takes over P2 here as we're on lap 129.
And look at the 1 car. I got to make it 3 wide through 3 and 4. Oh, you got a little loose. Had to walk it up the track. That's really going to hurt him here on corner exit.
Yeah, you can see that. He's not able to close up that gap. But now the one good thing for him, we've heard Lloyd say, he wants the bottom of the racetrack. So he's not going to go up there and shut that door, really. He's not too concerned about that, trying to worry about what's out of the windshield and trying to run down that 23. But now he's looking at the back of the 7 here as they enter 3 and 4. Trash man, can he run down the 23?
Oh, and Lloyd got really loose.
Yeah, he's still trying to catch it as he almost gets down on the blue paint. Going down the front stretch, he loses those 2 spots.
Yeah, he's going to lose a third too, possibly.
Yeah, it's Dwayne MacArthur.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to hang on to it here. He's able to recover and have a really nice 1 and 2 there.
And guys trying to get their spots in line here, but the car not necessarily responding to what they want to do. Track really greasy, guys sliding around here, and as we come to lap 32, oh man, he's able to hold on, but Greg McDaniel, your pole sitter, caution flag flies for I believe the 4th time, maybe 3rd time. Roger Hurley
that's
involved.
A big wreck.
And we are still wrecking.
Yeah, Dave Madsen's caught up in it. There's a lot of guys caught up in it. Oh, wow. Oh, Madsen just, what a shot. Roger Hurley, yeah, I'm looking here and watching this. I'm trying to figure out I think Hurley might have had some help coming out of turn 4.
You got to feel bad for Madsen here
30.
because
yeah, the 30 just nails the 77, bounces off the wall, and by the time he started trying to hold the brakes, it was too late, and oh, Madsen just cleaned them out.
yeah, that's a tough break. You know, Madsen, he was that lane or 2 off the wall, but he gets hit in the right rear, sent up into the wall, and then kind of sandwiched up there between the wall and the 24. There was nowhere that he could go, and you can see the 77 just trying to avoid that car in the wall, and when he turned down, car there.
And if you want to talk about heartbreak, Tom Ogle would have been when that restart would have been the first guy for a lap down, but Brian Lynch is able to get around Ogle on that restart, and so now he's the new lucky dog, and Tom is going to get caught have to stay a lap down again.
Tom has had a rough year with some of these cautions. He's definitely been in the mix, run on the podium a couple times, but now we're going to see guys. John, I don't know if any of these really are on the lead lap. I'm trying to take a look here. Some of those guys pitting, if they still had a fresh set of tires, this could be. Don't count some of them out here.
Yeah, I mean, if I was towards the back, the lead lap guys there, yeah, I'd come in and take some new tires. And what do we have, like 3 of them maybe that did that, maybe 4? So yeah, at the very least, you're probably going to work your way into a top 10, I would think, maybe.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see too. You know, our camera guy can verify in my ear what it tells him, but Sean Foles, from what it tells me, the last time he was down pit road was lap 85. So, you know, is that agreeing with us there, Ryan? What are you saying? Okay, so my SDK's lying to me. He did pit lap 124. You're just frayed out on my end. I was going to say, to be out there that long on a set of tires, you probably got one in the garage area, but he used them.
Yeah, be out there that long and the green flag flew and he's not sitting last. I mean, that's probably what happened if you'd have been out there in those tires. But now we're going to double up. And here we go. We're going to get it. This is definitely going to be a shootout now.
Yeah, and you know, not to count those guys out, but with the pace Josh had, I kind of do expect him to bring this one home. But
yeah,
keep an eye out on Lloyd Boy here.
It looks like Josh has some short speed too. Short run speed.
Most definitely. Now, if Lloyd could get a restart, though, like Daniel Hill got the last time, if he could get right up on the deck lid of that 23 and launch with him, maybe take advantage of that inside starting spot and get back to P2. But we're going to extend this caution one more time. So we're going to go around one more lap, which means we'll have about a 9-lap shootout when we go back racing. Guys, some there in the back. Yeah, I guess we're still trying to get lined up. We got guys 3, 4 wide coming out of turn 4 here trying to get in line.
They're just getting practice for the green flag laps. I mean, but you know, Zach, here's something too. And Josh, I've touched on how disciplined he is, so I don't anticipate this. But you know, there's times when you're thinking about where do I want to go in that restart box, and you can kind of psych yourself out a little bit. Think I'm going to go early. If you have that internal debate too long, it's really easy to kind of mess up the start, even though you're the control car. I've seen it happen with competitors. I've had it happen to myself. So kind of keep an eye out. I wouldn't write all these other guys off quite yet.
All it takes is one lapse in judgment there. Maybe get on the throttle a little too hard, spin those rear tires, and oh man, he'd go for a ride in front of the field. So definitely not wishing it on him. But Josh, yeah, you're right. He still got his hands full here. He's going to have to work for it. It's not going to be an easy 9 laps here when we get ready to go back. It's Greg McDaniel. He had some 1-lap pace, but we saw he kind of slid those tires about 4 or 5 laps ago. Maybe the 1 car can get that handling to come back to him after they've cooled down. But the pace car pulls off. The green flag's high. It's ready to fly. We're back underway. There's 8 laps to play here at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
And Josh did none of the things I warned him against. He jumped on that sucker, no spin. He's gone.
And Daniel, with a good restart, was able to get down in line. If he's got any shot at it, this is going to be the best chance he's had. He's not battling for P2 anymore. Immediately goes to the outside.
Stretching that lead.
Yeah, he really is.
Right in the center corner.
I am trying to will Daniel up to the rear end of that 23, but man, Josh, he really does have the pace. Defending series champion, really flexing his muscle down here in the swamps in Florida. He is opening it up, and I mean, you've heard us talk about the runs that you get off that top shelf. The fact that he is opening this run so good in the center and off, John. He's not just making up time in the center of the corner. He's really doing. He's got speed going down the straightaways.
Yeah, you could put this in the category of not fair. He's he's really strong through the center. He's strong on the exit. He's getting into the center just perfectly, and he's continually just putting more and more distance between he and the second place car.
Oh, and there you see a little bit of it. Oh, Dwayne MacArthur almost comes down. We got guys getting loose coming off the 2. But
yeah, this is a hornet's nest back here from MacArthur on back. I've been watching this.
Yeah, Chris Bates was holding on to P5 there, but he got a little loose in front of the field, and all of a sudden, James Hislop, you remember that name, John? He almost ate the inside wall going down to the backstretch. One of the best saves we've seen all night, and he is now in the top 5. Man, he's got that Mobile One machine rolling.
He does, but yeah, between MacArthur and down to Easterland, that group right there, they are trying really, really hard to get around each other, and it's providing some outstanding racing there. We got a good battle, though, back up there. Looks like probably about for 3rd, 4th, 5th, too.
Yeah, and you know, John, you got guys, pretty unbelievable the talent we see here. Courtney Nelson, one of those guys battling. He just ran the fastest lap of the race, 33:22. The guys are putting it on, man. The horses have left the barn.
Yeah, they have, and you can see it, too. They are driving these cars to the limit. Oh, Foltz got into the wall and almost lost it.
Lloyd Moore trying to take a peek here as he enters low into 1. The trash man trying to haul it upstairs, but he left the gap, and Lloyd gonna slide up there.
Oh, they wreck.
Contact.
They saved it.
Oh, man. They hold it together coming off of 2, and Greg McDaniel.
I do not believe what I just saw.
We warned you guys you were going to get a slide job tonight. It took a long time, but it came. Oh, man. I have no idea. Those guys are they'll have a couple beers and laugh about that one after that, John.
You're going to need a couple beers just to calm the nerves. I honestly, I'm impressed, and That is incredible.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, in a league where the talent is just astounding, all the points matter, and that could have been the difference. You know, some of these guys, they don't have wins, just trying to get themselves in on points. I know it's early in the season, but this is where you put a little bookmark in here and you go back and look at this one if you're able to win a championship, if you're one of those two guys. That was big time.
Yeah, and if they're at the end of the season and they got to point their way in and they only get in by a few points, they can point right back to this point in time and say, yep, that made my season. That save made my season.
And Courtney Nelson taking a peek on the outside here as we come across the stripe, John. White flag in the air. There's one more lap to go here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Oh, Hislop with a big shot there. These guys racing hard to get into the top 5. Man, they've got it going. Oh, Hislop catches him out. He goes around the top shelf, and he may steal this thing, but as we go up to the leader, final time through 3 and 4, defending champion Josh Robinson brings home the checkered flag here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Daniel Hill second, Greg McDaniel third, James Hislop with a huge P4, and Courtney Nelson rounding out the top 5. But boy, oh boy, John, what a save by Daniel Hill and Lloyd Moore. That was wild.
Yeah, wow. That's all I'm gonna just say is wow.
And then that was, you know,
I don't know how the hell these guys do it. Every week we get off the air, you and I talk, oh my gosh, this is such a great race. These guys top it. They come back the next week and they top it. Just unbelievable.
That wasn't, you know, John and I trying to hype this up. We really will talk about that save when we are off air, probably when we go to commercial here. That's one of the better saves him and I have probably ever seen. They're doing that at 140, 150 mile an hour. That's wheelmen right there. Congratulations.
Yeah, I would have had my eyes closed by that point in time. Those guys were still saving it.
Yeah, with these forced direct drive wheels, you know, I'm letting go of the wheel so I don't break my wrist. I'm expecting to hit the inside wall there, but man, they're able to gather it up and hold on. And we're going to step away for a couple minutes here on the Virtual Grip Network, give those drivers a chance to get a drink, catch their breath. But we'll come back, take a look at the rundown, and then we'll interview our top 3 here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. So stick around. We are back live on the Virtual Grip Network, and man, we were treated to another amazing race here for Week 6 in the OBRL YesterYear Racing Cup Series. Let's go ahead, let's take a look at that final rundown. We'll see your winner there, Josh Robinson, Daniel Hill, P2. Greg McDaniel, your pole sitter, able to bring home third. James Hislop, after an amazing save early in the race, able to bring home P4. That is huge for him. Courtney Nelson rounding out the top 5. Lloyd Moore 6th. Dwayne MacArthur 7th. Chris Walsh 8th. Jerry Isaacs 9th. And Don Easterlin rounds out your top 10.
Sean Foltz in a nice comeback comes home 11th, followed by Chris Bates. Luke Lane will finish 13th. Mark Fish will 14th. Dustin Martinson will come home 15th. Victor Lane will follow him in 16th. Then Jeffrey Lyden. Brian Lynch, John Hastings, and Eddie Jones will wrap out the top 20.
The middle half of the field, 21st, Robert Guarisco, a.k.a. Crisco, bringing home 21st. Martindale, 22nd. Greg Hammond, 23rd. Grandpa Dakota Pishka, 24th. And Fred Wolford, the 3rd, rounding out 25th. Andy Thomas, 26th. Clay Walker, 27th. The 9-ball, Alan Wanamaker, 28th. Daryl Weininger coming home 29th. And Tommy Embassy rounding out the top 30. John, you got the rest.
Gavin Adams comes home 31st, followed by Torrance Charles. Nicholas Self, Tom Ogle kind of fell back even a little bit further, but he finishes 34th. Dave Matson, who was involved in that late race crash, will bring her home 35th. Roger Hurley, also involved in that crash, 36th. Brian Lindsay, Kevin Masur, Mark Schrader. Brian McRae will wrap out the top 40 there, and then 41st will be William Martin, Jonathan Thier, and rounding out your field, Bruce Pearson.
And now we've got a chance here to talk to our top 3 drivers. Going to go ahead and bring up that 3rd place finisher, Greg McDaniel. Greg, Shaggy up in the booth, man. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, hey, man, I blew the call. Called you, I want to get it right here. Jerry Isaacs on the lead because he was in that yellow car. I was so used to that. And then, man, I noticed it's that beautiful Cartoon Network machine. You had that one lap pace, but, man, those long runs, maybe not everybody's friend here tonight. Talk to us about the race car.
The track was very slick. You had to be very, very gentle with both your braking and your throttle. And I decided I was going to save tires and run the low line. And early in the run, I could kind of hang on to position. And then seems like after 15 to 20 laps, I would lose a bunch to guys on the top. But then at the end, they would start coming back to me. But we only got one really long run during that race, and there at the end, it didn't matter. So I think I probably got lucky getting 3rd because Lloyd tried really hard to race with Josh there before the last caution, and I think Lloyd probably had a little bit better stuff left than Lloyd did because he was trying for the win there. So I guess I lucked into 3rd place.
Yeah, man. And, speaking of getting a little bit lucky there, those 2 in front of you did, or Daniel did. He ended up getting by Lloyd. You probably had the best view in the house. What were you thinking, man, when those 2 were getting locked up coming out of 2? Were you thinking maybe P2 you had a chance at?
The first thought that went into my mind was I actually said "uh-oh" on my team radio, and I was hoping they weren't going to both come back up into me and get me. So I thought I could get one of them. They disappeared out of my side view. I figured I might be able to get one of them, but they both came back up. So credit to them for saving it, and I was able to get my Lloyd get my Lloyd on the outside after that, and he got loose a couple turns after that. So I just had to not lose it and hold 3rd there.
Well, hey, man, you do the hard part. You bring home the podium after a long race. It wasn't easy for you, but congratulations, Greg. This was a hard-fought one, man. You got anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank my girlfriend Sharon for letting me do this, and we'll be watching this here in a little bit together. I want to thank the league admins for all the great work they do, and Victor Lane for keeping the league going and getting it to where it's at now. Full car fields. I'm sure there's not a lot of leagues out there getting those, so it's it's fun to race with that many cars. Our league sponsors, Top Flight Computers, Butt Kicker. If I butcher this name, I am sorry. This was the first time. Kailu Glass, sponsor of the Xfinity Series, and YesterYear Racing, sponsor of the Cup Series, and of course Victory Lane Sports oversees all that. So thank you to all of them. And if my friend Dave has gotten onto the new channel here, I hope he got to see this. And hello to my friend Dave. That's it.
Well, hey, heck of a run, Greg. I'm looking forward to seeing that Cartoon Network machine end up on the podium a lot more, man. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yep, me too. Thanks a lot, guys.
That's Greg McDaniel, your P3 finisher. Now, John, I think it's your turn. Who you got?
I got the trash man, Mr. Hill here, and you know what? I'm going to start with what everybody's thinking. Walk me through what happened on the backstretch. A, how did you save it? And B, how long did you have to take you to get your breath back?
Well, I mean, I kind of knew it was coming. I knew he was going to try to slide job me there. So I had planned my exit to hopefully counter that. And my worry was that if he got loose or if he bumped the wall and then it came back across, and I was just kind of prepared for it and I was waiting for it. And I think that being mentally prepared for it was about the only thing that really saved it. I'm surprised we didn't lose more time than we did. It was definitely hairy.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been able to say, wow, they wrecked and held their spot. That's essentially what you guys did. Have you gone back and watched the replay of that?
Oh yeah. I watched it.
I gotta know, what was your thought process? Because it's one thing to be behind the wheel. It's another thing when you go back and watch it. What was your reaction when you watched it?
I didn't realize that I had cut it as close to him coming off the corner initially. And so I was like, ooh, I almost was like, I probably should have tried to give it a little bit more room. That was really what I was thinking. But I'm surprised. Usually when you get hit in the right front or in the front end of the car, and it just usually shoots you down the track, and I'm surprised that I don't know if it was just that I preemptively turned the wheel knowing that he was coming or something. I don't know, but it just didn't get that really nasty turn left when I got hit. So, it kind of helped me, and I'm just glad Lloyd was able to straighten it out, and you were able to keep going.
I've seen a lot of incidents like that, and none of them end that way. That's all I'm going to say. I think that was a first. And, let's take that aside. Talk to me about your race. It was a pretty hot racetrack out there, so I could see guys kind of moving around, sliding around. You were one of the guys that really almost right off went up against, ran the boards there. So was that just case of you running where they're not, or is that where you were the most comfortable and making the most speed?
Yeah, I mean, the race was going to be about saving the right rear, and that's where I felt like I could save the right rear as much as possible and still run fairly consistent laps. This is not one of my favorite tracks. This is one of the races every time I dread coming to. I don't usually do well here, but I just said I was going to be committed to the high line, and that's where I was going to run it. And if people go by, but the main thing is I wanted to just get to the end without wrecking, just hopefully get a top 10 out of it and get on to the next race.
Are you a fan of the track now? Second place usually will change people's mind a little bit.
No, they can bulldoze this place for all I care. Hey, it's a dragon I needed to slay, and it gives me a little bit more confidence, the next time I come here.
We need to stop calling you the trash man, start calling you the Dragon Slayer then. So I'll tell you what, man, congratulations on a great run. Anybody want to give a shout out to?
Oh, as always, shout out to my teammates, Josh, Tom, Brian, everybody over at Team Yada. We all spend a lot of time communicating and giving each other tips and tricks to things that we're doing to help each other. shout out to my wife for putting up with me while I race forever. And shout out to you guys. You guys do a phenomenal job with everything that you guys do, not just the broadcasting, but everything that you do post-broadcast as well. And shout out to Victor and Josh and all the admins that make this league what it is, because without them, this place wouldn't exist. And it's a pretty awesome place to come and race.
Well, awesome, man. Well, I can't wait to see you the rest of the way. Best of luck to you, and I hope we get to talk to you again very soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Well, Zach, you got the one guy that pretty much took control of this race early on and held it from then on in.
Yeah, defending series champion driver of the 23, Josh Robinson. Welcome to the playoffs, brother. You got the monkey off your back, man. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I usually like Homestead. It went a little bit better than normal tonight. I'm usually, top 5 car maybe here, but man, it was clicking off on that bottom line for me.
It really was, man, and I appreciate the fact that you drivers are so willing to do those mid-race interviews, because, Josh, you gave us absolute gold there, and we used it throughout the race. How much do you think, if you just had to throw a little number out there, how much are we woeing up the car? Because it seemed like, you'd open it up a little bit and you'd say, hey, I got a little bit too much of a lead. You'd let the guy catch you back up, and then, man, you'd rip the lid off the can and get to about 2 or 3 seconds up the road, man. How much were you holding back the horses tonight?
On that, when I was able to jump down in the pits there, I wanted to get a little bit of a lead just to be comfortable, which is usually about a second. And then, that started to open up a little bit when those guys started going side by side behind me. And then, it kind of grew to 2, and I was like, oh, wow, I did not expect that at all. And there was a couple guys that were a little bit back there that kept getting caught by either a caution or caught by just some other misfortune that was, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good with those guys getting caught up. But to answer your question, I was very cognizant of that. I would see that lead maybe grow a little too much and be like, all right, don't be an idiot and torch your right rear. Just be nice and calm. There's no reason for you to go aggressive here. And that if they started reeling me back in, be like, all right, time to put the hammer back down.
Obviously, fixed setups, not too much we can do, but while you're out there racing, do we mess around with brake bias, anything like that, to maybe save a little rear tire, trail braking on corner entry, or are we not really playing around with that too much here?
I tend to always do that. I do that a lot more in practice than during the race. I try not to make too many crazy adjustments during the race with the brake bias, because in this next gen you get the full range, which usually equates to somewhere around 10% of range. And tonight I was at 53%, but I played with a lower bias. I played with a little bit higher bias, and that just seemed to be home with me. And you had to be careful not to drive it in too deep, but you definitely didn't want to. I didn't trail brake tonight, but my foot was on the brake on corner exit. I just don't think it was actually registering.
Well, Josh, you're able to steal the show here. You get out front with good pitch strategy there. That was another thing we didn't really talk about. It seemed like on pit road, man, other guys maybe driving a little slow into their boxes, crawling into them, whereas you, Josh, you had them nailed. You were driving in full bore even under caution. Is that something, that we really work at? Because, you see there, that first caution, that was the difference. That got you out front.
You have to in this league. There's 10 guys that can win on any given night, and you don't want to give up a spot or two in the pits. And honestly, in here, if you slide through your pits, or you're a little too far over, or you lollygag getting in, it's usually not just one spot. It's usually about 3. So you don't want to do that. And you definitely have to practice those if you want to get a top 5 here.
Well, Josh, anybody who's been watching this season knew this was a long time coming. You've been up towards the front. It just hasn't gone your way. You had a quick car last week, but pitch strategy got the best of you guys, and, well, you just got caught out, but not tonight, man. You're the top dog, and you're in the playoffs. Congratulations, man. Who you want to thank?
I want to thank, all the OBRL and not just the admins, but everybody that comes out, because we had another full car field 6 races into the season. That is just awesome, and we can't speak enough for what the league's doing and putting on a good show. I want to thank you guys for putting on a good broadcast. These are a blast to go back and watch. Just you guys do an excellent job with the back and forth, and then I don't want to thank myself for what I gave you guys in the in-car, because we had a lot of chatter going back and forth on the team radio, and I didn't get the attention that I would normally give you in that. And then with that, I do want to thank everyone on my team, with Tom and Dan and Brian and Mark Fish. Everyone did a good job with communication tonight, and that always leads to good outcomes.
Well, man, you can see that. You bring it home, and you're the point leader for a reason, but now you got a win beside your name. Congratulations, Josh. Can't wait to talk to you again.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
Josh Robinson brings home the checkered flag, John, and I don't want a broken record, everybody, but you even said it. We say every week, man, but these guys do. It gets better and better every week. The save between Daniel and Lloyd, I mean, you mentioned him. I've seen that 100 times on iRacing. I probably saw it 50 times yesterday, John, and nobody saved one of those wrecks. The fact that they were able to step up on the wheel and catch those things, oh my gosh, I can't wait until next week.
Well, and next week we're going to be going to the paperclip there in Martinsville. So head down, elbows out, some good old-fashioned short track racing. You and I can have a hot dog eating contest while we're there.
I lost fantasy football and had to eat 20 hot dogs
That's
for
right.
4 hours, so I'm going to pass. That story's for another time, okay? But it is a good story, but I'm going to pass on the hot dogs. Let's go ahead.
That's for the podcast.
Yeah, let's take a look here at what's coming up on the Virtual Grip Network. As you can see, John touched on next week. We're rolling in. I'm in Pennsylvania, but my territory, man. We're coming up to the Northeast. We're going to Virginia, Martinsville Speedway. John, are we gonna, we've seen these guys, okay, and I don't want to, start them off on a bad foot, but this has been the most gentlemanly league we've ever seen. And with a 9X, how do we get through Martinsville?
Your guess is good as mine, but you know what? If there's a group of guys that can do it, right here in the OBRL, this is the group of guys that do it.
You see, that's coming up next Sunday, as always, 8 p.m. Eastern. But this Tuesday, I'm back in the booth here with my man J.R. Shepard for the YesterYear 1966 Tour Mod Series. And man, John, we're heading into the Bull Ring, Sobo. These guys, I've got a little inside information. They've only been to a Bull Ring one time last season, so this is going to be new for those drivers.
That's one of my favorite tracks. I hate the fact I'm going to be in Minneapolis this week, but I'll definitely be watching from my hotel room.
Well, we were treated to a great race here this evening in Homestead-Miami, Florida for the OBRL YesterYear Racing Cup Series. And on behalf of everyone at the Virtual Grip Network, I'd like to thank my partner, John Hine, our dude in the back, Ryan Seneker, and last but not least, all of you for tuning in this long. Have a good night.